This is Weather or Not.
And welcome into the Wednesday edition of Weather or Not here, the last of the hot days before we start transitioning into a rather unusual stretch of weather here as we wrap up May.
Yeah, and honestly can't remember the last time we've had really good low humidity heading into Memorial Day weekend. I can tell you the last time we've had very hot and humid Memorial Day weekend, so a good change of pace coming our way.
Yeah, that leads off our three things here with your first alert here on this Wednesday, and it is hello cold front. Yeah, it's hot today, but we start trending downward starting tonight. Humidity starts to trend lower, and that sets us up for that really nice Memorial Day weekend that you were talking about.
Yeah, I think Saturday and Sunday definitely going to be the best days. Saturday, we actually bottom out with the lowest dew points. Let's tell you why. It's all because of a perfectly timed cold front that's going to completely transition our wind direction.
Yeah, it does. It slips its way through here as we head through later today. There's a little bit of a lag in the cool down. It's not going to be sort of an instant drop. You're going to walk out tomorrow morning and it's going to feel refreshing. Not quite. It's going to be kind of a step down process here as we work our way through the weekend as that front continues to move off. And you can see that here with our temperature trend for the Grand Strand. And with a west wind today, we're going to crank those temperatures into the upper 80s to near 90. We'll shave off a couple of degrees for low to mid 80s tomorrow. And there's that beautiful weather that really gets going on Friday.
Yeah, and the best part is Thursday, even though it's 84, it will feel like 84. Low humidity, and then the weekend looks fantastic. How about inland, where you've had the 90s today? Yeah, you're going to be going down into the upper 70s, lower 80s Friday and Saturday, and then slowly starting to build things back as we head into Sunday and Monday. The mugginess, yeah, this is what you love to see, even for Memorial Day for the standards. No steamy weather, no miserable weather, a touch of it, and that will eventually introduce the chance of a couple showers and storms.
Yeah, especially as we head into early next week. You know, this time of the year, humidity doesn't stay gone for too long. So it does start to come back, and probably comes back in a pretty big way, as you mentioned. And with that, we get our next opportunity for some rain chances. Let's talk about that Memorial Day weekend forecast, though, because it really is a good looking forecast. You can see those temperatures Saturday and Sunday, upper 70s to near 80 at the beaches, low 80s inland. But the humidity stays pretty low, although we do likely see a decent jump in that humidity for Memorial Day itself.
And I think that's going to spark off a couple afternoon showers and storms, isolated along the beaches, maybe scattered in nature inland. I think the better chances come in on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And we kind of get back to a more summer pattern, if you will, as we head into next week. Of course, our pattern has been relatively warm and quiet.
Yes.
It's been a different story, and this is where we want to take you coast to coast. So let's go ahead and show you. First off, we'll start with over the weekend where, yeah, there were a plethora of tornadoes. Storm chasers capturing this on Sunday there in Arnett, Oklahoma. Just one of many that the storm chasers were capturing.
Yeah, absolutely wild 5-day stretch here. If you go back to last Friday all the way through Tuesday, yesterday here of this week, over 1,600 severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings issued across the country. Most of those Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri, many of the same areas that have been hit so hard over and over so far this spring season.
Yeah, speaking of Missouri, let's go all the way back to Friday. One of the big talkers, and certainly getting a lot of topic here, is the one in St. Louis, Missouri. Obviously, they were talking about the EF3 tornado that moved there, killing 5 people, damage there on the north side of St. Louis. And now they're talking about even how the tornado sirens before this on Tuesday didn't work. So they planned to have someone in there to manually input it. Didn't input it, didn't press the button. So damage as the northern side of St. Louis continues to rebuild. Later on that night, this is the one that I had interest in Kentucky. Yeah, check out this. This is actually from a good buddy of mine, Johnny Nichols, and Senegan, now an EF4 tornado based off damage there in London and Somerset. This is just a drone video of the path of destruction.
And it sometimes, according to the latest survey from the National Weather Service, that tornado a mile wide at times. So not just a strong tornado, as you mentioned, an EF4, but also a very large tornado. And notice there in that drone video how you can see just that path carved there off into the distance. And it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, scary situation. This obviously in the middle of the night for them. And just, the last thing that these people, especially think of it, same area that was dealing with the significant flooding issues back in 2023. They continue to get weather event after weather event. And this pattern, unfortunately, wasn't over Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We even had tornadoes yesterday. Let's take you over there as we talk about tornadoes touching down in Tennessee and Alabama. Multiple tornadoes reported Tuesday. Good news is haven't seen any fatalities or injuries coming from these.
Yeah, the video there on your left side of your screen, that's Jackson, Tennessee. That's actually the airport at Jackson, Tennessee, impacted by a tornado yesterday. Had several tornadoes confirmed there in northern Alabama, in and around Huntsville, even northern Georgia, Tennessee, getting into the action, and even all the way up into Kentucky. Tornadoes and a lot of severe thunderstorms. I was watching yesterday the areas around London, Kentucky that got hit so hard with the tornado on Friday, they actually had mandatory evacuations for the people that were in the damaged areas as another round of severe storms moved in yesterday evening.
Yeah, once again, areas can't catch a break. The good news is a little bit more quieter pattern for them coming in at least for the next couple of days so they can continue to or do search and rescue missions there. Speaking of weather, let's take you to our U.S. extremes, two identical places from last week. Faith Ranch, Texas. How about the warm spot? 106.
And Manila, Utah. 15 degrees, quite a contrast. So let's jump into it here with Coast to Coast, and we'll take you across the southeast here as we head through the day tomorrow. And again, not much happening. We're on the backside of that cold front. You can see the lack of clouds, giving us mostly sunny skies, and that lower humidity starts to move in as we head through the day on Thursday. And you can see where that front starts to initially bring in some of those cooler temperatures, low to mid 80s across most of the Carolinas. Florida, well, they're done with cold fronts till probably October. They're going to be roasting through it, especially Central and South Florida tomorrow.
Yeah, sadly, that's going to be us in a couple of weeks. Let's go up to the Northeast where talk about quiet weather now being a little bit more active as we go to the forecast for Thursday. We're talking about showers and storms. Low pressure system that's associated with the cold front will actually bring in the potential for some flooding up into the Northeast, especially up there into Portland as you're working your way up into Maine too. So they're going to be watching that. Even talking about temperatures cooling off. Look at the temperature profile here.
Wait, before we go to the temperatures, check out the map. Montpelier, Vermont, Plymouth, New Hampshire. That's some high mountain snow that's going to be coming down there in New England.
And this system too, they're talking to wind gusts 40, 45 miles per hour.
It's a classic nor'easter.
It's a classic nor'easter look. And how about a little late season nor'easter, if you will? Here's the temperature. I was looking at these as we were loading up the graphics. Some of those spots in between Albany and Concord, they're talking about 32, 34 degrees, just enough to throw in a little bit of winter weather, if you will. And this is an area that's had plenty of winter weather to go around. 57 in Pittsburgh, 67 in Harrisburg, and notice the 50s all the way down into the Ohio Valley. 60s there across the region.
A raw 50 degrees tomorrow in Boston with the wind howling off the ocean, as they would call it, a wicked nor'easter there in Boston for tomorrow. Let's take you to the part of the country that has been hit so hard with that severe weather, and thankfully it is quiet. Kentucky, Missouri, West Virginia, down through Tennessee, northern Arkansas into Missouri. Not a lot going on, which is a well-deserved break there across that area, and temperatures really comfortable.
Yeah, sitting beautiful. 66 in Louisville for late May. They will take it. 64 in Lexington, 71 in Bowling Green. And you'll notice some warmth down there as you go into Branson and Jonesboro. 77 degrees. Still, though, for their standards, not bad at all. We'll continue out as we go out into the Midwest and notice where storms are going to be firing up. Some showers and storms and the risk for severe weather, especially across Wichita Falls into Texas, north of Dallas. Yeah, they're talking about the potential of some lightning, even some hail there, and some of those storms that are going to be firing up tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, we'll be watching Wichita Falls down to Abilene, Texas, for that best risk of a couple of isolated severe storms and a lot of heat. I have a feeling tomorrow's temperature extremes across the country probably going to, again, come from the Rio Grande Valley. Notice Del Rio tomorrow up at 102, but even some of that slightly more comfortable weather trying to sneak into parts of Arkansas and Oklahoma, 70s and 80s. No such luck, though. A steamy 96 tomorrow there in Houston.
And let's go out to the West Coast. For most of it, it's a snooze alert. But if you go up to the Northwest, southwest. You'll notice some showers going to be around. It rains there most of the time. It's rain and clouds, cooler temperatures as well. And I'll be honest, the forecast nice and quiet until we get a developing low out there to the east of them. Also pretty comfortable. 66 in San Francisco, 86 in Sacramento, and holding on to those 70s. Palm Springs, Phoenix. Oh, no thank you. 106 over there in the southwest.
Yeah, summer definitely starting to show up there.
Yeah, so speaking of summer, many of you probably already going to be talking about it's so humid out there, the dew points are so high, whatever it might be, but a lot of you probably get it confused between relative humidity and the dew point. In today's weather workshop, meteorologist Matt Bullock breaks it down.
This week, we're going to talk about the difference between relative humidity versus dew point. Now, I know a lot of folks ask us, why do we always talk about the dew point and not talk about the relative humidity? And they're both different, and let me explain why. Relative humidity is the percentage of the amount of water vapor in the air at a given temperature, while dew point is the temperature in which the air needs to be cooled to reach 100% humidity, or also known as complete saturation, meaning 100% humidity where the air begins to condensate. And so giving you an example, when the dew point is 65 degrees, if the air temperature is 65 degrees, well, your relative humidity percentage is at 100%. Anytime you get relative humidity at 100%, you typically see rain. Now, as the temperature continues to increase, but the dew point stays the same, you can see the relative humidity begins to drop. So at 80 degrees, but the dew points stay at 65, the relative humidity is just 60%. Now, as the temperatures continue to warm up, highs in the 90s, but the dew points staying in the mid 60s, that relative humidity is at 44%. So during the summertime, our First Alert Weather Team talks about the dew points on the Muggy meter. Now for our area, when it's muggy, that means we see dew points between 65 to 70 degrees. Anything past 70-degree dew points, which what we see typically in June, July, and August, it's in that miserable category. So anything below 60, that's that dry, comfortable air. So once again, that summertime, we'll start to see that muggy meter starting to increase, and our First Alert Weather Team will always get the first alert when that muggy air is on the rise. Matt Bullock, WBF News.
The air you can wear.
Air you can wear.
Sticky season.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else I said.
Just for a little perspective, on our muggiest,
Yeah.
steamiest days around here in the summer, our dew point can get up to around 81, 82.
Feel like
That's-
temperature's 120.
Yeah. Where I call it hot peanut butter. It's what it feels like you're walking through.
Yeah, I will never forget that when you say that. Let's go ahead and go to our See It, Snap It, Send It. It's been nice to have at least some storms and some showers. It's also been nice to have at least a little bit of relief. This actually coming in from Jess, though. We've had some of these weird days with clouds around, peaks of sunshine. Jess's photo capturing it perfect here.
Crepuscular rays.
I always want to say something like, I know. Yeah.
Sun rays.
Sun rays
Yeah.
coming through the clouds. Jess, thank you for your photo. And of course, let's move on to our next one. How about this coming in? A little heart shape
Oh, look at
in
that.
the clouds.
We love weather.
We do.
Look at that. Beautiful heart-shaped cumulus cloud.
Oh, Debbie coming in. Debbie, thank you for that photo. I did get a photo, and I'll show you on the break of the warmer weather, also bringing in some copperheads. I almost put it on See It, Snap It. I didn't feel like it was appropriate for it. But if you have a photo, whether it's animals, weather, sports, golf, your beach plans, you can send it to us here on our Weather or Not app, or Weather app, if you will. You can See It, Snap It, Send It, scan this QR code. It'll take it to the bottom of our First Alert Weather app. And who knows, you might see your photo here with us on an episode of Weather or Not. Tomorrow we'll continue to look ahead to the weekend. Friday happy hour, the weekend, getting closer and closer.
Yeah, lots of stuff going on. We'll start breaking down again with more detail there, that weekend forecast, maybe our next opportunity for rain as we head into next week. All coming up on tomorrow's episode of Weather or Not.